While Martin was working in the garden, he saw a car pull up next door. The new neighbors were a couple from England named Charlie and Gemma Bovery. When the baker heard the name, he looked at the girl with interest. She resembled the heroine of the novel that shared the same name. The next day, the Boverys visited their neighbor's bakery. The girl was happily picking out bread, enjoying its smell, and Martin couldn't stop looking at her. While walking his dog, the baker met Gemma by chance. He finally realized that the young girl had stirred up feelings he had long forgotten. Charlie knocked on the Gebert's door late in the evening. The power went out in their house. He asked his neighbor for help. Martin said yes to helping and happily accepted the invitation to have some wine. Martin and his wife Charlie did most of the talking, while the baker watched Gemma closely. He remembered lines from the book about how Madame Bovary felt bored with her quiet family life. That's how the girl looked now. But the peace was soon broken by a mouse that dashed right under Gemma's feet. The girl screamed. Then, she quickly began talking about buying poison. This scared Martin, who said that poison often leads to accidents. Martin spent each day with his neighbor. He either watched her from his house window or waited impatiently for her to arrive at the bakery. One day, the baker invited the girl to the kitchen to try baking bread herself. Martin observed Gemma, taking in every part of her body. While visiting the store, Gemma meets a couple. They invite the girl and her husband to dinner. They also offer them a job. Gemma is an interior designer. Charlie restores old things. Martin arrives at the dinner with Valerie. He keeps watching the person of his dreams. The hostess leads Gemma to a room that she wants to repaint. She begins talking about exercise equipment and fitness, subtly suggesting that Gemma should lose a few pounds. This really hurts Gemma. A few days later, Martin sees Gemma in the park. He makes a positive remark about her figure, which puts her in a difficult situation. She rushes home, but suddenly, a bee flies under her dress and stings her in the back. The girl is screaming and asking for help. Martin unbuttoned her dress with shaking hands and caught the insect that had managed to sting her. The man must suck out the venom, and the girl readily agrees. When he hears the screams, a young Frenchman named Hervé, who lives in a big mansion close by, runs over to them. As Martin explains what is happening, Gemma suddenly faints. The men quickly take her to the hospital, and she starts to feel better. The following day, a couple from England arrives in Bovary. Gemma is flipping through a magazine when she spots her ex-fiancé, Patrick. He's the one who cheated on her. The girl feels sad and angry. This is because Charles spends all his time reading books or working in the workshop. He doesn't notice the ceiling and the faulty wiring. A little later, Gemma goes to the market. There, Martin sees her again as he stands on the porch of the store. He watches the girl. She reads the lines of the novel to herself. Sometimes, he adds something of his own. He suddenly sees Hervé walking up to Bovary and starting a light, casual conversation with her. The next meeting between the girl and the young man happened in a store by a wine display. A young man suggested the best drink and invited his new neighbor to come see his mansion, which was built several centuries ago. While heading home, Martin passes Gemma's car, but she doesn't see him. Before she gets to the turnoff of the house, the girl looks toward the mansion. Martin chooses to follow her. However, when he notices that she has gone inside the house, he feels too hesitant to look through the window and just drives away. In the evening, they plan to have dinner with the neighbors. When Gemma sat down next to Martin, he noticed a clear imprint of passionate love left by the young Frenchman. From that day forward, the baker started to keep an eye on his neighbor. It wasn't hard. She confidently left the house wearing a dress and heels, using walks with her dog as a cover. In reality, she was with Hervé, sharing intimate moments together. They met again at the bakery. Gemma bought bread and a croissant. However, she forgot them at the checkout. The baker is very happy to visit his neighbor. As he gets closer to the house, he hears passionate moans. The man realizes who is visiting the girl now that Charlie is gone to London. The man cannot return the forgotten croissant. He goes home and sits in the kitchen all night, thinking about his feelings. When Charlie comes back, Gemma and Hervé are still in a relationship. The girl takes a long walk with the dog again. The man understands that his marriage is probably falling apart. At Hervé's estate, the couple shares a passionate moment on the table. Gemma touches a porcelain statuette. It falls and splits into two pieces. The guy is really upset because this item means a lot to his mother. The girl helps him relax. She takes the statuette with her and asks her husband to fix it, while keeping the customer's name a secret. Martin always thinks about breaking up Gemma and Hervé's relationship. The man is honest with himself. He does not hide behind morality or male solidarity. He admits that it is just his jealousy. After thinking it over, Martin decides to end Gemma and Hervé's affair no matter what. The following day, Gemma removes letters from her mailbox. One of them is said to be from Hervé. He tells her that their relationship is over. She doesn't hide her feelings from her husband. Instead, she runs to the Frenchman's house, where he is listening to his mother's lectures. The woman is very upset. She is angry not just because her son isn't getting ready for his studies, but also because her favorite statuette is missing. At the estate's gate, Gemma gets a message from her boyfriend. He says he has to go back to Paris and cannot join her in London, where they had planned to spend a few days together. When Gemma gets home, she wants to talk to her husband. He already knows what she wants to discuss. He packs his suitcase and leaves his wife, who has been unfaithful. The next day, Gemma meets Martin and asks for his help to translate the letter. The baker glances at the young beauty once more and finds it hard to focus on the text. A mouse runs right over the girl, breaking the silence. Martin kills the rodent and sees a bag of rat poison. This makes the baker angry. He asks her not to keep the poison at home because it is very dangerous. Gemma spends her free time at her neighbor's house, who is English, doing repairs. There, she meets Patrick, who is a friend of their family. The man is very happy to see the girl. He is likely eager to continue their relationship. The next day, Gemma scheduled a meeting with Martin, but he didn't come. When the baker stepped outside, he saw the girl in Patrick's arms. While at the restaurant, Gemma tells her ex-fiancé that it was a brief lapse in judgment and she truly regrets it. When Gemma gets home, she packs her bags. She decides to sell the house and go back to London to continue her relationship with her husband. She finds the repaired statuette and leaves Charlie a sweet voice message. She sees Martin not far from the house. She says sorry for missing the meeting and asks him to grab a drink to say goodbye. In the conversation, it was revealed that Martin sent the letter for Hervé. The girl knows why her neighbor took that step. She kisses him and asks him to go. After some time, Martin gives her a basket of freshly baked bread as a goodbye gift. But it's not Martin at the door. It's Patrick, who has come to try again and start fresh. While working in the garden, Martin sees a taxi arrive at the neighbor's house, and Charlie gets out. The baker feels happy because everything will finally go back to normal. However, a few minutes later, Charlie bursts out of the house, shouting for help. Gemma is dead. Martin believes that rat poison caused her death. However, the detective says she died from suffocation, strangled with a piece of bread. The baker thinks he is responsible for what happened and shares this with Charlie during the funeral. He blames himself because, when he came home, he found Patrick and Gemma in a strange position. Instead of helping his wife, he started a fight. Every man takes the blame for what happened. As Martin leaves the cemetery, he turns around and sees Hervé. Hervé is also there to pay tribute to his beloved girlfriend. 6 months later, new neighbors moved in, and they caught Martin's attention. However, that's a completely different story.